Three North American countries, Canada, Mexico and the United States, U.S. which had planned to begin trade war with missiles of heavy taxations or tariffs today Tuesday February 4, 2025 have paused the intended war for 30 days to enable both parties cement the deals. President Donald Trump entered with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo after the leaders of the North American countries had phone conversation almost throughout on Monday. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a press statement issued late on Monday, said he had had phone talks with President Donald Trump and both agreed to pause the new tax laws for 30 days. In a new deal with President Donald Trump, Trudeau and Pardo agreed to send 10,000 security operatives each from Canada and Mexico to secure and strengthen their border security with the U.S. to control the inflow of fentanyl into the U.S. Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, during the phone conversation meetings, said she told President Donald Trump that most of the guns used to commit crimes in her country are imported into the country from the U.S., demanding President Trump to also tighten U.S. security against importation of illegal firearms into Mexico. Sheinbaum said in a tweet that, in a conversation with President Donald Trump, Mexico agreed to fortify its border with 10,000 National Guard troops to try to block the flow of drugs, especially fentanyl, across the border. It would be recalled that 2 weeks into his second term, President Donald Trump had launched the United States into a new trade war. He ordered new tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico and China, the three largest U.S. trading partners, prompting retaliatory tariffs and vows of countermeasures on U.S. goods. Trump has also threatened further tariffs on other countries, especially EU countries, causing a heavy concern from members of the European countries who have been talking against the heavy burden tariffs of President Donald Trump. The negative effects the action will cause both the European countries and the U.S. Trump, in a confirmation message on his social media handles, said that the U.S. will pause tariffs on Mexico for a month. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period during which we will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and high-level representatives of Mexico, he added. Trudeau had announced Saturday night that Canada would begin imposing 25% tariffs on more than $100 billion of U.S. goods in response to U.S. tariffs. In another economic crisis, Elon Musk said overnight on Sunday that he and Trump are in the process of shutting down the U.S. Agency for International Development, which the administration has discussed putting under the authority of the State Department. Donald Trump, in his statement on Monday, said, "I just spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separate." In a bitter reaction to the statement credited to South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa over the killing of 13 SA soldiers in Goma by M23 rebels, Rwanda President Paul Kagame has talked off over President Ramaphosa's description of Rwanda Defense Force, RDF, as a militia group working with M23 and the SA president's threat, racial, and commented on President Cyril Ramaphosa's social media post published on Wednesday, accused South Africa of being a party in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo, who always launch offensive operations against M23 rebels, only trying to manipulate the public by thus falsely claiming to be a peacekeeper in a war the SA has joined hands to escalate. This, as hundreds of Romanian mercenaries contracted to fight against M23 rebels ceded or surrendered to M23 rebels in the presence of the rebels' spokesperson, Willie Ngoma in Goma, who was seen in videos warning and cautioning the Romanians never to come to Congo to fight against them before the Romanians were transported to Rwanda for further assistance to their country. Willie Ngoma could be seen in one of the videos published online talking to the European mercenaries in Goma that, "Don't joke with M23, my bro, that's the army for the people." M23 leader Colin Nanga, in a video interview, said, "We have come to Goma to stay. We are not going to withdraw, but we will move forward from Goma, up to Kinshasa." adding that the rebel group's plan is to march to DR Congo's capital, Kinshasa, to oust the government of President Felix Tshisekedi. Colin Nanga says President Tshisekedi has cut off power and internet in Goma, urging residents to return to their homes and resume daily life. Local media reported that M23 fighters have taken control of several streets and are currently managing the security situation in Goma. Some residents were seen taking selfies with the fighters, and one of the videos saw the M23 spokesperson, Willie Angoma, posing with the residents in a joyous mood. VOA reported that although relative calm has returned to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo City, the main roads still bear the marks of conflict, with military trenches, spent bullets, improvised explosive devices and beer bottles scattered around. Some businesses remain closed as residents wait to see what actions M23 will take. Many are calling for the restoration of essential services like water, electricity and the internet, hoping to resume normal life under the group's rule, according to VOA. On Wednesday, while fighting in the city had largely eased, intermittent gunfire continued in the Goma's northern areas, including Katoi, Mabanga, Majengo, Kibwe and Turunga, where the situation remains tense, according to local DRC media outlets. Al Jazeera reported that, in a heated address at the Emergency East African Community (EAC) Summit on January 27, 2025, President Paul Kagame of Rwanda criticized South African President Cyril Ramaphosa's involvement in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC) crisis. Kagame accused Ramaphosa, some lawyers always defending the legality of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, a secessionist organization that has Eastern Security Network, ESN, as an affiliate, have kept mum or refused to utter a word since appeal court sitting in Abuja affirmed the decision of the lower federal high court in 2017 that declared IPOB as a terrorist organization. A check on some of the legal counsel of IPOB as at 7 p.m. on Thursday, as at the time of filing in this report, none has issued a statement over the appeal court ruling passed earlier in the day. The Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, on Thursday affirmed the judgment passed by Justice Abdulkafarati of the Federal High Court, Abuja, proscribing the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and designating it a terrorist organization. In a unanimous judgment of a three-member panel of justices, the appellate court held that the federal government acted lawfully in proscribing the group, whose activities threaten the nation's continued existence and the security of citizens. In the late judgment, Justice Hamabaka resolved all the issues raised for determination against the appellant, IPOB, and declared the appeal unmeritorious, thereafter dismissed it. The court held that it found no reason to set aside the order the federal government got against the group. Late former Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Abdulkafarati, had in a ruling he delivered on September 15, 2017, outlawed the activities of the IPOB in Nigeria. According to Vanguard newspaper, the proscription order followed an ex-party motion of the former Attorney General of Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN, filed on behalf of the federal government. Justice Kafafati declared as illegal all activities of the group, particularly in the southeast and south-south regions of the country. He further restrained any person or group of persons from participating in any of the group's activities. The judge directed the AGF to ensure that he published the proscription order in the official gazette, as well as in 2 national dailies. In a follow-up ruling on January 22, 2018, the court dismissed a motion IPOB filed to challenge the legal validity of the proscription order, which it said was surreptitiously obtained by the AGF. Dissatisfied with the decisions, the IPOB approached the appellate court to set the judgment aside. The organization, in its appeal marked FHC CAA 214-2018, which it filed through its team of lawyers led by a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Chukwuma Machuku Ume, urged the appellate court to set aside in its entirety the ruling, final decision of the High Court. It alleged that the then AGF suppressed and misrepresented facts in the affidavit evidence he tendered before the court, maintaining that the proscription order was tantamount to declaring over 30 million Nigerians of Igbo extraction as terrorists. The armed affiliate of IPOB, ESN, that is currently releasing videos and photographs of its fort. Many dead bodies with 4 persons alive have been reportedly pulled out from river after a commercial plane with 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board flying from Wichita Airport in Kansas City to Washington, D.C. had a collision with a military helicopter midday while the jet was descending to land at Reagan National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. The collision caused both aircraft to fall or crash into Potomac River in Virginia state that borders Maryland and Washington, D.C. in the United States of America, USA, on Wednesday night. As at the time of filing in this report on Thursday afternoon, more rescue boats were seen inside the Potomac River with more than 300 rescue team members who continued to search for survivors, and the small passengers plane had been pulled out of the river. Local media reported that at least 18 bodies had been recovered as of 12:30 a.m. Thursday, and there are 3 debris fields from the crash, police reportedly told newsmen. The U.S. Black Hawk military helicopter was said to be in training when it had a collision with Flight 5342 that had 64 people on board. Fatalities have been confirmed, and law enforcement and rescue teams are on site, according to live footage published by Reuters on its Facebook handle on Thursday afternoon. An Earthcam captured footage of the collision where the passenger's jet and the military helicopter exploded with a bolt fire before both fell into the river, as seen in the video footage. All takeoffs and landings at Reagan National Airport are currently paused, according to the airport authorities. 64 people aboard the passenger jet, American Airlines says, and 3 soldiers aboard the helicopter, a U.S. official said. Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas said, as reported by Reuters, that it's really hard when you lose probably over 60 Kansans simultaneously. And I don't want to forget the pilots and the flight attendants. When one person dies, it's a tragedy, but when many people die, it's an unbearable sorrow. It's a heartbreak beyond measure. Jack Potter, president of the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, it's a very difficult situation out there with the cold. It's very dark, but there are numerous boats out there. There are dive teams out there. John Donnelly, Fire and EMS Chief, Washington, D.C., at 8:58, the first units arrived on the scene and found an aircraft in the water and began rescue operations. This incident has grown. There's currently about 300 responders working. It's a highly complex operation. The conditions out there are extremely rough for the responders. It's cold. They are dealing with relatively windy conditions. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he spoke to President Trump, and his department would offer full support to those on the ground. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, they are working diligently in very dark and cold conditions, cold water, to execute this rescue operation. CBS News reported that at least 18 bodies have been recovered so far, citing a police official. 2 sources told Reuters multiple bodies, over 40 persons, have been reported dead in a stampede that occurred early morning night on Wednesday at Maha Kumbh Mela, a Hindu religious festival that holds once in 12 years, that is touted to be the largest human gathering in the world, with over 100 million people estimated to have gathered to bathe in the holy river waters in India. International news agencies reported that nearly 40 people were killed in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh on Wednesday, and several others injured in a pre-dawn or early morning night stampede at the Maha Kumbh Mela. According to residents, the Maha Kumbh Mela takes place every 12 years in the Indian city of Prayagraj, about 90 miles west of the holy city of Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, when an estimated 100 million people gather to bathe in holy river waters at the confluence of the Ganges, the Yamuna and the Saraswati rivers. It was gathered that a large number of people began descending upon Prayagraj on Tuesday evening as the most auspicious day of the festival, which saw almost 200 million attendees in its first 2 weeks visited the city for the Hindu festival. Reuters reported that the stampede occurred between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. on Wednesday as tens of millions gathered at the confluence of holy rivers in Prayagraj city to take a holy dip in the waters on the festival's most auspicious day. The stampede occurred when several devotees tried to jump the barricades put up to manage the crowds during the ascetics' holy dip, officials said. Some witnesses spoke of roads to the water being closed, bringing the large crowd to a standstill and causing some people to collapse due to suffocation, while others began pushing, pulling, and climbing over them in an effort to escape, according to Reuters. At least nearly 40 people were confirmed dead and several others injured in a crowd crush at the Mahakumbh Mela in northern India, as tens of millions gathered to take the holy dip on the most auspicious day of the 6-week Hindu festival. We learned that India officials deployed a special crisis unit for rescue efforts, while Prime Minister Narendra Modi directed authorities to ensure relief measures. Drone footage posted online captured massive crowds as tens of millions of Hindus arrived to take ritual baths in the sacred rivers. Authorities have confirmed 40 deaths, with the toll expected to rise as many victims remain unidentified. Witnesses described scenes of chaos as people were crushed and trampled in the overwhelming surge toward the riverbanks, according to media reporters at the scene of the event. Some media reported that the tragedy underscores the immense scale of the festival, which was anticipated to attract over 100 million people, with more than 50 million already partaking in the sacred ritual the day before. Despite enhanced security measures, including AI-powered surveillance and drones, the sheer number of people strained crowd control systems. This devastating incident serves as a stark reminder of the risks posed by such massive gatherings, with previous crowd-related fatalities at similar events in India. Reuters also reported that more than 57 million people had taken a dip by 4 p.m. local time. Over 1,200 men of the Armed Forces of Democratic Republic of Congo have ceded or surrendered Goma, the country's largest city, to M23 rebels, with DRC military uniforms flooding the streets after they pulled off the army attires and took refuge at UN peacekeeping military base, leaving South Africa soldiers to continue to fight on. But South African military formation in Congo on Tuesday issued a statement denying that its men did not surrender to M23 rebels, insisting that the white flag hoisted by one of his soldiers on Monday during heavy gun battle with the rebels was normal military tradition for both sides to cease fire to enable the South Africa troops passage to receive medical supply and as well give room to the M23 rebels the opportunity to rescue their men injured in front of the South Africa military base near Goma airport. This, as thousands of pro-government protesters attacked and burned some portions of US, French, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and other foreign embassies in Kinshasa. It was gathered that protesters burned tires and threw stones in front of the U.S. Embassy's main compound, according to local news reports, and breached the site of a new embassy building that is under construction, according to an American official in Kinshasa who spoke on condition of anonymity to preserve staff safety. The site was later secured and no one was injured, the official said, as reported by the New York Times. Reuters reported that Goma residents and UN sources said dozens of troops had surrendered, but some soldiers and pro-government militiamen were holding out. People in several neighborhoods reported small arms fire and some loud explosions on Tuesday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, several diplomatic and security sources said the M23 rebels had taken full control of the airport, putting them in charge of a vital link to the outside world. According to Reuters, M23 is the latest in a string of ethnic Tutsi-led, Rwandan-backed insurgencies that have brought tumult to Congo since the aftermath of the genocide in Rwanda 30 years ago, when Hutu extremists killed Tutsis and moderate Hutus, and then were toppled by the Tutsi-led forces that still govern Rwanda. Rwanda says some of the ousted perpetrators have been sheltering in Congo since the genocide, forming militias with alliances with the Congolese government, and pose a threat to Congolese Tutsis and Rwanda itself. Congo rejects Rwanda's complaints, and says Rwanda has used its proxy militias to control and loot lucrative minerals such as coltan, which is used in smartphones. Sky News reporter Yosra Elbagia witnessed rebels taking over Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo while Congolese forces surrendered their uniforms, reported with a video showing the DRC soldiers pulling off their military uniforms and dropping them at a section of the road in Goma. Furious protesters stormed the U.S. Embassy in Kinshasa, chanting anti-imperialist slogans and setting fires, with some visuals showing large crowds attempting to breach the embassy's logistical center. Also in the Congolese capital Kinshasa, which is about 1,600 kilometers, 1,000 miles, west of Goma, protesters attacked a UN compound and thousands of prisoners at Munzenze prison facility in Goma, the capital city of North Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of Congo, may have set themselves free after M23 rebels took control of Goma early morning on Monday, with videos posted online showing civilians flooding back to Goma and welcoming the M23 rebels in a rousing manner. Munzenze prison, considered as one of the worst prison facilities in the world, which as of 2020 was having more than 2,400 mostly male prisoners, for a custodian facility which was built for a capacity of just 150. The Democratic Republic of the Congo's main prisons are filled at 432% on average, according to MONUSCO, the United Nations peacekeeping force in the country, making them among the most overcrowded in the world, according to Al Jazeera report in 2020. Videos showed Goma residents running and cheering in celebration, welcoming M23 rebel group soldiers after the capture of the North Kivu provincial capital on Monday. The Munzenze prison, which is currently estimated to hold approximately 3,000 inmates, was apparently set ablaze as fleeing prisoners were seen in the surrounding streets. Videos showed the prisoners running out of the facility unchallenged while a thick black smoke was seen billowing from a section of the prison facility. Meanwhile, the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, MONUSCO, staff and their families have arrived at the Grand Barrier border from Goma, fleeing the fighting after the town was seized by the M23 rebel group on Monday. Earlier today, we reported that one of the most troubled countries in Africa, Democratic Republic of Congo government, has begged civilian residents in the country to flood streets today, Monday the 27th of January 2025, just as M23 rebels are now in control of Goma, after killing the Congolese military commander, over 9 South Africa soldiers, a total of 12 UN peacekeepers, forcing other Congolese soldiers to surrender their weapons before the 3 a.m. Monday 27, 2025 deadline set. Few hours ago, local media reported with photographs wherein men of the armed forces of Democratic Republic of Congo were seen handing over their weapons to UN peacekeepers in Goma city before the 3 a.m. deadline set by the M23 rebels, who have issued evacuation order for all Congolese military and foreign soldiers to leave the Goma city as the closed Goma airspace. Congolese Minister of Justice Constant Mutamba, in response to the M23 rebels' advancing postures, issued statements via his ex-social media handle, calling and begging civilian residents in the Democratic Republic of Congo to take to the streets in Kinshasa, the Congo capital, today Monday the 27th of January 2025, to take charge to free the country from M23 rebels. I call for a popular march against Rwandan aggression this Monday, January 27, 2025 in Kinshasa, starting at 9 a.m. Let us take charge to free our lands from the hands of the invader. Homeland or death, we will win. Alongside President Tshisekedi, men of the Nigeria police force in Anambra State are currently hunting to arrest Black Axe secret cult members known as Aye or Axemen and its rival in the renewed cult war in the state, Viking's secret cult members, also known as Arrow or Baggers, just as his men at Abagana Police Divisional Headquarters, arrested over 4 persons in connection with the killing and burning to death a 74-year-old woman who has been on a wheelchair before her untimely death. SP Tochukwu Ikenga, the Anambra State Command spokesperson of the Nigeria Police Force, in series of news releases on Sunday and early morning night of today Monday, also reported that 2 secret cult members were fished out inside a vehicle and caught with 1 Beretta pistol and 2 live ammunition at police checkpoints in the state. The Anambra State Police operatives serving at Abagana Divisional Police Headquarters today, the 26th of January 2025 by 9 a.m. arrested 4 suspects, including a 21-year-old lady Chinenye Ekwenugu from Ifitedulu, over the burning of a 74-year-old woman in a wheelchair at Abagana. The 3 other suspects include Uzochukwu Okeke, male, aged 47, Fidel Anayo, male, aged 60, and Ikena Anin, male, aged 54 years respectively, all from Abagana. The operatives also recovered the burnt remains of the deceased, the wheelchair, and a casket. During interrogation by the police operatives, the suspect, Chinenye, confessed that her boyfriend Ifeanyi Igwe, who is currently at large, and 3 others set the victim ablaze and got a casket to bury her before the intervention of the security operatives. Meanwhile, the operatives have also initiated moves to arrest the main suspect Ifeanyi Igwe, who is currently on the run. The body of the deceased has been deposited in the morgue for autopsy and further probe of the cause of the death. The Commissioner of Police CP Nnage Obono Itam, while reacting to the report of the incident, sued for calm and ordered the immediate transfer of the case to the Homicide Section of the State Criminal Investigation Department of the Command for a comprehensive investigation. Further developments shall be communicated. Please, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, Police Public Relations Officer, Anambra State Police Command, reported in a news release issued on the 26th of January 2025. Operatives of the Anti-Cult Unit of the Anambra State Police Command stationed at Enugu, acting on credible information yesterday, the 25th of January 2025 by 1:30 p.m. arrested 1 Maduka Okoye, aged 25 years, of Abagana. The team also recovered 3 expended cartridges of a pump-action gun at a shooting scene in Esichike community of Abagana. The suspect, Maduka Okoye, confessed to being a member of Baggers Confraternity and said that he was in a beer parlor drinking with his friend in the area when they came under attack by members of the rival cult group identified as Axemen Confraternity. Meanwhile, the police responded swiftly and restored calm in the area. The suspect is currently assisting the police operatives in an ongoing operation for the possible arrest of the fleeing gang members and already identified member. One of the most troubled countries in Africa, Democratic Republic of Congo government has begged civilian residents in the country to flood streets today, Monday the 27th of January 2025, just as M23 rebels are now in control of Goma, after killing the Congolese military commander, over 9 South Africa soldiers, a total of 12 UN peacekeepers, forcing other Congolese soldiers to surrender their weapons before the 3 a.m. Monday 27, 2025 deadline set. Few hours ago, local media reported with photographs wherein men of the Armed Forces of Democratic Republic of Congo were seen handing over their weapons to UN peacekeepers in Goma city before the 3 a.m. deadline set by the M23 rebels, who have issued evacuation order for all Congolese military and foreign soldiers to leave the Goma city as the closed Goma airspace. Congolese Minister of Justice, Constant Mutamba, in response to the M23 rebels' advancing postures, issued statements via his ex social media handle, calling and begging civilian residents in the Democratic Republic of Congo to take to the streets in Kinshasa, the Congo capital, today Monday the 27th of January 2025 to take charge to free the country from M23 rebels. I call for a popular march against Rwandan aggression this Monday, January 27, 2025 in Kinshasa, starting at 9 a.m. Let us take charge to free our lands from the hands of the invader. Homeland or death, we will win. Alongside President Tshisekedi, we will fight until the supreme sacrifice to defend our dear homeland, the land of our ancestors. I invite the population to take to the streets to denounce this Rwandan aggression imposed on us by the forces of evil. Homeland or death, we will win, the Congolese Minister of Justice, Constant Mutamba stated. On Sunday, thousands of civilians had fled the town of Goma in the North Kivu region in order to survive using any possible means, as M23 militias advanced swiftly, posing a serious threat to the town. The South African National Defence Force, SANDF, in a media statement on Saturday had claimed that his men and his counterparts have pushed back the M23 rebels advancing towards Goma in the Eastern Republic of Congo, but on Sunday, the South African military formation announced the killing of 9 of his men by the M23 rebels in Goma. In a media statement, the South African military formation said, Parliament, Sunday the 26th of January 2025, the Joint Standing Committee on Defense has learnt with sadness the death of 9 members of the South African National Defence Force, SANDF, in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, after the intense confrontation with M23 rebel group in that country. The soldiers form part of the Southern African Development Community Mission in the DRC and the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. While the committee acknowledges the gallant resistance by our forces, the loss of 9 members of the SANDF is serious and requires investigation to prevent. Men of Nigeria Anti-Illicit Drugs Police, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have intercepted a strong cannabis concealed inside duvet expected to be exported to United Kingdom, UK. NDLEA spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, in a news release on Sunday said the illicit consignments were intercepted in Lagos Airport and 2 suspects were arrested in connection with the illicit drugs. NDLEA in the news release also stated that its men recovered scotches, sock and dye, opioids, assorted weapons in raids across Lagos, Ekiti, Kwara, and destroyed cannabis plantation in Kano State. According to the news release, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have intercepted a consignment of loud, a synthetic strain of cannabis, concealed in duvet, packaged for export to the United Kingdom through the cargo shed of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMIA, Ikeja, Lagos. 2 suspects, Adako Sunday and Austin Balogun, linked to the bid to export the consignment to the UK, were promptly arrested following the discovery by NDLEA officers on Tuesday, the 21st of January 2025. 6 parcels of the psychoactive substance with a gross weight of 3.50 kilograms were concealed inside the duvet. In his statement, Austin Balogun, who is the main agent who hired Adako, claimed he was paid 700,000 naira to cargo the consignment to UK but spent a fraction of the money on export handling charges and the bulk to pay for an apartment. At least 2 suspects, Joseph Oluwasegun Adewale and Biodun Adelakun, were arrested at Igbo Olumo, Ikorodu area of Lagos when NDLEA operatives raided their hideout in the community where 7 liters of scotches, a new psychoactive substance produced with black currant, cannabis and opioids, were recovered. Other exhibits seized from the duo include 3 locally made double-barrel rifles, 1 locally made double-barrel pistol, 1 English-made pistol, 1 locally made single-barrel rifle, 3 cartridges and 1 empty 9mm cartridge, as well as an iron-held axe. Another raid in Lagos on Sunday the 19th of January led to the seizure of 47 kg skunk, a strain of cannabis, and 25.46 kg nitrous oxide, popularly known as laughing gas, at the notorious Akala area of Mushin. In Ekiti, a 26-year-old suspect Adepoju Taiwo was arrested by NDLEA officers on Thursday the 23rd of January with 1.950 kilograms Canadian loud at Iworoko Road, Ilokun, Ado Ekiti, the state capital, while Awasani was nabbed by operatives on Monday the 20th of January at Bode Sadu in Moro local government area of Kwara State. A total of 50,000 pills of tramadol 225 milligrams weighing 36.56 kilograms were recovered from him. A Nigerian, Abubakar Lami, 45, with two others, Abasani, 35, and Awal Aliyu, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC says a suspected internet fraudster, Joshua Chukwueze Ikechukwu, saw its men via CCTV camera before he started shooting at them and eventually killed one of the security operatives, Aminu Sahabi Salisu, when his men were at a compound to enforce the arrest of suspected internet fraudsters around the fight area in Oka, the Anambra State capital, on Friday. EFCC, in a press statement issued on Sunday by its spokesperson, Dele Oyewale, said internet fraudsters are now into banditry, kidnapping, ritual killing and other deadly acts. According to the statement, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, expresses grief on the loss of one of its officers, Assistant Superintendent of the EFCC, as to Aminu Sahabi Salisu, who was killed in cold blood while on illegitimate duty on January 17, 2025 by a suspected internet fraudster, Joshua Chukwueze Ikechukwu. Additionally, the Commission views with great concern the irresponsible, callous, inhuman and outrageous narratives being circulated on social media on the whys and wherefores of the fatal accident. It is heinous to reduce the death of a gallant officer who was carrying out patriotic and official duties to social media razzmatazz. More worrisome is the fact that some faceless commentators are pitching their tents with an alleged criminal who unleashed terror on officers of the EFCC in their line of duty. There is no justification whatsoever to rationalize a murderous act. The milk of human kindness demands that a grieving family, Commission and nation should be spared the shenanigans of false narratives and conjectures on the death of the slain officer. Salisu, alongside other investigators of the EFCC, were at Dr. J.O. Okutinefe Close, Ifite, Awka, Anambra State, to arrest some suspected internet fraudsters in the early hours of January 17th. The operation was duly documented at the Anambra State Command Headquarters and Area Command of the Nigeria Police in line with operational protocols. The operation was initially smooth sailing with 37 suspected internet fraudsters already arrested at a two-story building housing Ikechukwu and other occupants of the house. However, Ikechukwu, who cited the investigators through a CCTV camera mounted at his doorpost and who also confessed citing them, declined to open his door for the investigators, who politely demanded entrance to his apartment. Defying all the introduction and physical citing of the investigators, he resorted to firing shots at them and killed Salisu in the process and wounded another officer detailed to conduct a search in his apartment. Preliminary investigations showed that Ikechukwu was involved in coding and online medical supplies of doubtful legitimacy. 2 laptops, iPads, several recording devices were recovered from his apartment, and his involvement in internet fraud is already established. Though currently in police custody owing to the murderous dimension of his case, the Commission will surely bring him to trial. The Nigeria Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has said that the rowdy session or drama that occurred on Thursday at the National Assembly when he was invited to defend the NPF 2025 budget proposal before the lawmakers was unnecessary, insisting that he never presented 2 separate or different 2025 budget proposal documents as alleged by one of the senators representing Ebonyi North, but agreed he used a simplified language to present the abridged version of the budget he was reading before the rowdy session ensued. It would be recalled that there was a heated argument during the 2025 budget defense session on Thursday at the National Assembly as lawmakers observed some irregularities in the details in the budget of the Nigeria Police Force. Media reported that the rowdy session began when the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun was providing a breakdown of the budget proposal for the construction of 5 zonal police headquarters across the country. Software development. Egbetokun had barely started his presentation when a member of the House of Representatives, Mark Cede, from Akwa Ibom, interjected, questioning why the details being read by the IGP were not contained in the documents provided to him. Senator Onyekachi Nwebunyi, a member of the All Progressives Congress and the principal officer thereafter, escalated the situation. He insisted that, as a senator, he should have the appropriate copy of the document the IGP was presenting. Nwebunyi thereafter angrily packed his belongings and stormed out of the budget defense session. As he exited, he exchanged heated words with several House of Representatives members who jeered at him. IGP, in a press release issued few minutes ago by the Force Public Relations Officer, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, said in quote thus, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, on January 17, 2025, addressed the incident that occurred during the presentation of the Nigeria Police Force 2025 budget to the Joint Committees on Police Affairs and Police Institutions at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja, on January 16, 2025. The IGP described the disruption as unnecessary and avoidable, clarifying that the document he presented was shared with all committee members beforehand. The IGP explained that 2 versions of the budget documents were provided to the committee members, a comprehensive copy and an abridged version. While both contained same figures and facts, the abridged version used simplified language to facilitate understanding. At the start of the session, the committee members unanimously agreed with a motion that the IGP should present the abridged version since they all had access to both documents. However, distinguished Senator Onyekachi Nwebunyi, Ebonyi North, who arrived late, began referencing the comprehensive version while the IGP presented the abridged version. Despite explanations from other committee members about the earlier agreement and the consistency between both versions, the senator refused to listen and abruptly left the session. The IGP described the incident as
bringing you the news in a more digital way.